Hey, welcome to Davita's Stamp and Spot. It's Thursday, and I have a project for you. I need to apologize. The crop really consumed a lot of my time, so I missed project last Thursday, and then I was slow with the tip this week because I was doing Kitten Cup. I do try to be more consistent, so this is a bad example. Hopefully, things will be better in July. So I want to share a project with you today that we made at the crop. And it was one of the projects that some of the ladies struggled with just a little bit. And so I wanted to show you how to do it. So first I'm going to clean my mat off. I was making some of the cards and thought, oh, this would be a good one to show you guys. As I was working on it, I remembered helping some of the people at the crop with it. So this is some of the embossed. It's the floral embossing folder. Don't know what the name is. It's a gorgeous embossing folder. It's one of the large ones. And there you can kind of see the beautiful design in it. Last time I looked, it was on back order, but scheduled to be back in the warehouse before too long. So I embossed it. I was able to put 2 sheets in at a time. So I put 2 in there, ran it through, and got it embossed nicely. I'm going to use Garden Green and Hydrangea Hue for these. So I'm going to start with the Garden Green. All right, so I want to make my mat over here on the side of my glass mat. Now, the first thing I want to encourage you to do is don't just go in one spot. Bring your color around on the mat because less is more. You want to start very lightly. You can always add more, but you can't take it off. Okay, so I'm going to find some leaves right here, and I'm going to gently circle. Do not push down at all. If you want a very light image, just barely rub over the top. And because this has been embossed, you're going to pick up the image very easily, okay? So I'm going to go back and get a little more. Again, you want to be very, very gentle. Most of the time we go in a circle, but because I want to avoid the flowers, you'll notice that I'm doing it a little more straight and just gently rubbing over the top. It reminds me of years ago, we used to have a craft technique even as a kid, where we would rub over something and it would make an impression. Well, that's what we did with the embossing folder. Now we're gently adding the color, okay? But one of the things I noticed was a lot of people would make a pile and they'd just keep going in that same circle. Well, then you're working all that ink into your blending brush, and you don't want that. You want to smooth it out a little bit so that you don't have a whole bunch in your brush. And I'm not pushing down at all. I'm just lightly rubbing over the top. The biggest problem people had was it was just way too dark. All right, so there's my green. Oop, I missed one here. So I have sent out the flyer for the next crop. It's going to be the last Saturday in August. That is not Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend will be the next weekend. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing with my blue. And I noticed I've used my blue so much, it's going to need some more ink here pretty soon. All right, same thing. I'm going to scribble on my clear mat or my glass mat so I don't have a lot of ink in here so that I can just gently rub over the top. Some of these cards I did in Strawberry Slush, and the ink pad was very full of ink, and it was so easy to get too much ink. All right, and see, I kind of got a glob right there. See what happens if you go directly onto your image? Can you see that glob there? Fortunately, it's not too deep. I think I'll be able to kind of rub that out a little bit. But you just want enough color that it draws your eye to the image. We don't want it real dark. Some of you may want it real dark, but for this one, I wanted a real light image. There, it got a little dark again. All right. You see, I missed a green here, so I'm going to come back Gently add that. Now, if you're really sure-handed, you could come back and do the little stars and everything. But I basically just wanted to highlight the blue flowers and the greenery. I want just a little here. I'm missing part of this flower. All right, there we go. And I promise it looks much better in person than it does on the camera, because I can tell on the camera it does not look very good, but it's going to look beautiful when I'm done. All right, I am going to take my chamois, wipe this off. So I was cleaning in my closet and I found this and I thought this was fun. I'm not messy, I'm creative. And it's actually a burp rag that someone made for grandkids. You know what? That works really well in my craft room. All right, let me show you the other pieces to this card. So I took a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I'm going to show you how I did that. Let me grab, we'll just go start to finish here. So first thing I'm going to do is grab my scoring tool and I'm going to score. See, there's a little tiny piece. All right, there we go. We're going to score it and make sure this is, this is not a full sheet. Hang on just a second. So whenever I'm making cards, I always make more than one because I want to have another sample to keep. So here I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. Then I'm going to cut it to be 5.5 by 8.5. Then what I want to do is I want to create this triangle, okay? This triangle on the front. So we're going to put it in the paper trimmer. And we're going to go from this score line, which is that 4 1/4, down to the point. Okay, and then we're going to cut like that. Now, here's the key thing I wanted to show you, because a lot of this you probably already know. So this is the piece I cut off, but I want to use it as my embossed piece here. So what I did is I want to take 1/4 of an inch. Oh, yeah, let's get it up here so you can see it. So I'm going to take 1/4 of an inch off the two straight sides of my triangle. And that is going to give me an awesome triangle that will go right there. So don't waste that piece. Cut it down and you can use it. Then I did white cardstock, the same size. No, I didn't. That one's bigger. Let's see if it still fits. Yep. So this one here is 5 1/4, and I bet it's by 4. Yep. So, and what I did was I made 4 by 5 1/4, and then I cut from point to point to make my inside pieces. This piece is 4 by 5 1/4. Forgot to put my little Post-it notes on there today. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so we've embossed this piece, and we're going and colored it. So we're going to put it on the inside of my card here. It is July. I cannot believe it. I was laughing. I was at the store this morning, and one of the lady was saying, I don't know where May and June went. We're already at July. And she and the lady at the checkout counter were both laughing. They were like, man, it's just gone way too fast. And oh, how I can relate to that. All right, so what I did was I used the Stone and Vine embossing folder. This one here, I really, really like this one. It's got kind of some leaves. You could get away with making it almost look like it was the beach as well. Those are almost like starfish shapes. So a very versatile embossing folder. And we are going to attach that on the front here. right. And the nice thing is since it's that piece we cut off, it should line up just perfectly there. All right. So I want to make this a thank you card. So I'm going to stamp in my hydrangea hue. Thanks. And then I've got a leaf that comes from it's actually one I believe is still available. It's the 2006 virtual card making retreat. Awesome set. Buy the retreat and you get the stamp set with it, and you get a lot of instruction. It's an awesome class. I learned a lot from it. And I've been at this many years, and it's something we can always still learn, can't we? All right, so I stamped it in garden green, and there are two ways you can color it, actually three. Today, I think I'm going to use my blender pen, and I've got some ink in the top of my ink pad. You should have received my email for the Technique and Fun Fold class that is next week. And I hope, if everything goes well, today or tomorrow, you'll get the rest of the July schedule. My problem is I have too many classes I want to teach, so I'm having to decide what I'm going to have to bump and what I get to teach this month. So remember, you always want to scribble until that is clear again, so you get the ink out of that. This is a 2-inch circle that I punched out with my punch, and then I did a 2 1/4 out of garden green. Now, when you are adhering this, and I only want it to attach to part of this, I would strongly encourage you to put your adhesive only on the front piece and then place this over the top. And that way you don't have to worry about getting ink on the inside. Now I wanted a place to write a message, so that's why I cut the white piece here. And I wanted to stamp something on it so it had some images on it before I write my message. So I thought these leaves worked really well. You can put one up here, and one here. So we'll color these a different way just to give you a little variety. I'm going to grab my colored pencils and grab a green. And we'll just color these in. Now, if I wanted to make these look more like they were painted, you'll take your blender pen and just lightly, woo, go over the top, and it'll make it look like it was stamped instead of colored. All right, so we'll add a little more here. So wow, you're getting tips today as part of the project. If you've been waiting for the Sunset Coast Designer Series, Scenic Coast Designer Series paper to be back in stock, it is. Grab it before it's gone. I did notice that the dies are low on inventory now. So if you've been waiting, don't wait. Log on. If you'd order from me, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a demonstrator or you have someone that you're loyal to, I understand that. All right, so I'm going to put this piece right up here. Sorry guys, my hands are a little crabby today. Let's try again. There we go. So now it's ready for my greeting. And then to finish the project, what I did was I stamped my leaves in the corner here on the front, and then I did 3 on the back. So it'll coordinate nicely with my card. Now let me show you the peach one, or the strawberry slush. Thought it was pretty too. This was one they did at the crop. So I hope this helps you with the blending brushes. Remember, less is more. And I know that's hard to do, but you can always add more ink. Hope you've enjoyed this project. If I can help you in any way, please reach out at davitastamps.com at gmail.com. Reply to the video or a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you use this idea, I'd love to see what you make. Have a great 4th of July, and I'll see you next week.